И всем привет, с вами я, Сендрика, и я планирую победить чертового огненного босса. Поэтому сейчас мы идем прямо на него. Я немножко передохнула, воспряла духом и хочу, черт возьми, его убить и пройти игру дальше. И надеюсь, у нас это на самом деле сейчас получится. Потому что иначе я буду грустить. А мы же не хотим, чтобы я грустила. Поэтому сейчас мы продадим, купим себе хилочек. Опа, на острых мега-клыков слишком много. Закупимся всем, подготовимся и пойдем пробовать еще раз убить его. Я надеюсь, что в этот раз у нас получится на самом деле. Не знаю, на что я рассчитываю, но я рассчитываю на победу. Ладно, я знаю, на что я рассчитываю. Победа. Именно она нас ждет. Нам главное выжить после его чертового удара. Как я догадываюсь. Если верить тому, что мне писали. Выживем, победим. Не выживем, будем плакать. Так, снаряжение. Нет, снаряжение, все правильно. Возможно, я буду тупить. Это тоже такое может быть. Но будем надеяться, что мы не будем тупить. Предмет бы еще на восстановление. Точнее, не на восстановление, а на увеличение опыта, получаемого от мобов, и вообще было бы идеально. А еще мы сейчас вкачаем кое-что этому самому Альфану, вот. И будет вообще идеально, я думаю. К тому же мы стали сильнее, пока на пчелках-то тренировались. Кто тренируется на кошках, мы на пчелках. Сейчас всех порешаем. Я в себя верю. Ха-ха! Я же сказала, я отдохну и вернусь. С боевым духом. С поднятым боевым духом. Я готова побеждать. Вот. И прошел, кстати, ну, почти ровно часик с того момента, как я сказала, что мне надо отдохнуть. Поэтому кофе выпито, энергия восстановлена. Можно задротить дальше. А то я подумала, что я, возможно, хочу поспать, но потом я подумала о том, что я обещала вернуться. Повалялась в кроватке, поняла, что спать я особо-то и не хочу. Поэтому, да, я очень быстро отдохнула. Так, еще одних мобов, и мы сейчас восстановим очки навыка, что нам надо там. Ай, страшно, страшно. Не надо кусать. Мы хорошие. Знаете, что я не сделала? Я не скушала еду на защиту. Мне ушко надо, как же я вас... А я вас не слушаю. Как же я игру слушать буду? Вот. Я выкрутилась. Как же я буду слушать это бла-бла-бла, бла-бла-бла. Это же придется сюжет читать. Я жива, да. Спасибо, спасибо, что... А не то сделала! А не то сделала. Спасибо, что заметили. Ну, неважно, хоть какой-то шум есть. А то мало ли усну, а тут хоп, шум, проснусь. Ништяк, ништяк. Полезно, полезно. Так, ну погнали. Вернемся, что-нибудь скушаем на защиту. И можно идти убивать. Нет, нет, я иду на босса. Я решила идти на босса. Я его сейчас победю. Я в себя верю. Верьте и вы в меня, пожалуйста. Иначе я буду плакать. Опять страдания. Так, мне ухо хотят откусить. Ты и хочешь. Поэтому как-то кот не особо поможет. К тому же у меня есть пёсель. Целый волкодав. Который не дремлет. У всех как кусь. И все. Так, нам на ферме надо работать? Не надо. Эх, везучий. Я просыпаюсь от любого шума. Завидую тем, кто спят просто без задних ног. Хотя, возможно, это немножко мешает... О, усиление большой защиты стихийной. Так вот, возможно, это мешает услышать будильники, но... Не знаю. Я сплю очень чутко и просыпаюсь от всего, от чего только можно проснуться. А, беспородный. Дворняга. Взят с улицы когда-то давно. Ах да, звучит как не очень. Двор-терьер. Вот. Я вспомнила, как я его называю. Ох, ну не знаю, если это помогает, то это хорошо, конечно же. Бывает, когда музыка не сильно. Тогда дворянин. Дворянин. Только ему не говорите, а то еще зазнается. Если у тебя есть передние ноги, можешь ставить. А передние ноги это как? А задние ноги это как? Я не понимаю. Пацан Кепочка. Почему нельзя его имя поменять? Я бы назвала его Монки Ди Луфи. Мне кажется, ему подошло. У паука лапки не надо тут. Не обманывайте меня. Ладно, мы всех обойдем. Умный в гору не пойдет, умный в гору тыщ-быбыщ. Опля. Опля не туда попала. Ну и ладно. Ай да драться. Давайте, давайте. Все нормально. У меня есть план. На самом деле нет, но вы думаете, что он у меня есть. Мало ли появится. Я ведьма асоциальная и вообще не люблю, когда меня трогают. Вот. Ну, по мне видно. Паутины и жепы. Ох. Это было бы так смешно, если бы не было так грустно. Боюсь пауков на самом деле. Очень боюсь. Вообще насекомых не люблю. Ведь мне не нужен хвост. Не-не-не-не-не. Мы так не договаривались. Но пауки это же тоже насекомые, нет? Нет? Или они ганнибалы? Подожди, каково это есть себе подобных? Это ужасно. Так. План капкан. А, у меня же еще растения были. Или я их съела? Нет, не съела. Так, я защиту отдаю пока. Не. Не. Я еще не осознала это, да? Бла-бла-бла. Мы вас зонтиком убьем. Бла-бла-бла. Скалопендры. А название-то какое? Скалопендра. Оп, уклонилась, уклонилась. Все. Значит, мы победим. Уклонение на победку. Пиу-пиу-пиу-пиу-пиу. Он настолько дно, что он до меня не долетел. На колени предо мной. Мой план звучит так. Как минимум не умереть. Это не тот план. Это было опасно. Возможно, и так все будет, я не спорю. Но мы-то надеемся на лучшее. Мы что тут собрались? Да чё мы тут вообще все собрались? Как минимум не умирания не хватает в плане. Так, флакон жизни. Защищай меня. А, он уже отхилял его? Молодечек. В школе? В какой школе? Я ее давно закончила. Не знаю, говорят, это место, куда тебе надо ходить, и тебе сдают знания. До свидания. Не помню, фигню какую-то впаривали с умным видом. Так что серьезные знания я не помню, чтобы там были. Возможно, рассказывают, что оно там есть. А если подумать, становится грустно. Я за 11 в ведьминской школе так и не заметила ничего тоже. Говорят, там что-то было. Но это не точно. Мне могли врать. Сейчас мы его убьем, а потом мы как убьем. Точнее, как воскресим. Нет! Мы одновременно это сделали! Альфана никто не воскресил. Кто лошара? Нам метлу не давали, говорили, что недостойны мы, пока не закончим ведьминскую школу, на метле-то летать. Да, дворниками пророчили быть. Мы ведьмы стеснительные и возраст свой не раскрываем. И говорим о себе в третьем лице, но это не важно. Ведь да, да. Пойду поплачу. Мне кажется, у нас какие-то проблемы еще. Ноги они такие, ты только отвлекись, и они уже улетели. Так что вполне могло быть. Ребята, группируемся, группируемся. На желешку. Угадайте, кто... А кто это у нас сдох? А кто это сдох? От всего уклонилась. Ля какая. Вот что могу. А сейчас не уклонилась. Живем. Не живем. Ты думал, ты меня вот так легко убьешь? Ты что, дурак, что ли? Так, стоять, команда лежит. План говно. Да Халим, вставай. Просыпайся, скотина. Хватит спать. О, фаерболы полетели. Я в них верила. Я в них все еще верю. Да Халим, я их отвлекаю! Не отвлекла. Все еще отвлекаю. Кого-то поднял. Молодечек. Блин, один раз уклоняюсь, остальные разы как-то не идет дело. Но мы еще все еще вся верим. Мы не можем иначе. Как говорят, крутые бабы не смотрят на взрывы. Возможно, речь была о бабах и не особо крутых, но неважно. Так, реабилитируемся в глазах общественности. Тихо, уклоняйся! Да это понятно, я помню. Я помню, что ты писал пару минут назад. Все ок будет. Всем подъем, мафака. Я не сплю, все не спят. Смотрит он на меня своими глазюками, блинские. Чё-то колдует хорошее. Откуда у меня... А, я ж там получила, да, эликсир. Какая я молодец. Ну да, потому что ты маги и не маги. Так, но у меня есть еще один эликсир. Потратим его на Халима, так уж и быть. Сделаем вид, что он заслужил. О, фаерболы летят, как люблю. Как люблю все я это. Босс, которого мы заслужили. Я что могу? В смысле, no? А ну, встала и пошла воевать. Я тут стараюсь, между прочим. Я мастер подставлять союзников, чтобы они ловили фаерболы своим. Назовем это лицом. А, у меня закончилась эта штука самая. Так, встала, пошла воевать. Давай, давай, воскреси. Воскреси кого-нибудь, и я воскресну. Так, а ну не сглазь. Я такой не люблю. Не надо мне тут. Вот босс умрет. Фу! У меня есть план. Я ж не просто так о нем рассказываю. У Дахалима плана нету, поэтому он сдох. Не то используй-то. А в смысле? Последний флакон жизни. Это-то да. Удивительно, я недолго живу. Воскреси меня, пожалуйста. Спасибо. Осталось пережить эту волну. Фаерболы, люблю фаерболы. Ну тут я не знаю, как он воскрешает. Возможно, он использует свою специальную методику воскрешения. О, хорош. Так, все, последняя апельсинка. Так, как-то он полег. Ринвелл, прости. Мы с тобой прощаемся пока что. Поменялись? Поменялись. Отлично. Я пацан с ушками! Должна выжить! Ха-ха! Я знала, что делать! У меня был план! Я пережила. Ладно. О, началось, началось. Возвращаем наш шион.
We won't surrender. We won't retreat. Not yet.
Whatever you do, just please stay safe.
How are we supposed to take on something so big? I'll handle it. Watch and learn.
Единичка! Внезапно! План сработал! Мы живы! Туц, 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 туц. И все? Мы даже с боссом не дрались. Просто убейте волну. Вот, конечно.
Okay?
Yeah.
Моя нервная система не цела. Мужик.
It felt like it had a different aura than other Zeugles, didn't it?
Yeah. It wasn't like the one that Almadria sicked on us either.
Its elemental astral energy variance was out of this world. It was like
О, смотрите, у тех рюнделей есть даже морковка. Это мило.
It must have played some part in helping harvest astral energy. But what?
Perhaps a living spirit vessel? It's plausible, given the location. Or it may be part of a new force dispatched to regain control of Dana.
If we assume that monster was one of the 4 beams of light, we must have prevented something from taking place here.
Там еще впереди еще 3 таких же.
But at least with that out of the way, we can keep moving forward now. Let's go.
Ага. Я дышу. Я дышу. Быстрая зарядка, плащ или лезвие, кстати, прикольная штука. Еще и апнулась кто-то. Я не увидела, кто не успела. Блин, это надо сохранить. А всего лишь надо было немножко передохнуть, и все. Все боссы нам нипочем. Так. Стоп. А, вот. Я думала, я видела кристалл. Фух. О, новая локация.
Hey, is that it over there?
Мне не нравится, что он тут стоит. На изичах. Почти. Хотя нет, стоп. У нас появилась новая броня? Опа-на. Опа-на, не появилась. А оружие новое появилось? Подождите. Не-а. Так. Давайте 5 апельсинов купим. И что нас дальше ждет? Не просто так, он, хотя там бы был костер. Я думаю, если бы была какая-то опасность. Чтобы мы отдохнули. Тот самый звездолет. Плак-плак.
No, but I have seen this starship before. This is it. This is the ship I traveled in when I escaped from.
Он немножко зелененький, тебе не кажется? Зарос чутка. Не верьте ему, он сейчас один улетит.
Damn, I'm amazed it still works at all after all this time.
present.
Он предатель!
I really am from a different time and place.
Я думаю, пассажиром прилетел на самом деле.
Yeah, but you've got us now, Alphen.
Not only that, but you've helped out so many people too.
Law's right. Rinwell too. You're one of us now. No more carrying the weight of history on your shoulders. You're a part of this world.
Right. Thanks, you guys.
О, костер вижу. Bonfire.
It should fly. All internal systems seem to be operating. However, considering how long it's remained
За
inactive,
что?
I suspect it
Зачем?
will take some time before it's ready for takeoff.
How much time are we talking here?
Starship mechanics are not what I'd call my forte, so I'd rather not hazard a guess.
So we've just got to sit around here and wait? I'm terrible at waiting.
That's
Ой,
because you're a
разнылся.
child.
Фу-фу-фу.
Oh, but how about we use this time to prepare and gather supplies for the trip?
Good idea. Who knows when we'll be back from Lenegis once we leave? We should prepare ourselves for every possible scenario before we go.
Let's try not to stay away too long. I'd hate for anything to happen to the place while we're gone.
Either we race ahead, or we take due precaution to ensure we have no regrets. I shall leave it up to you as to how we proceed, Alphen.
Works for me.
Она тут вырывается уже. Огонь. Отдыхают. Финальный бой. Выглядит так.
It's funny, isn't it?
What is?
All this. When we first started this thing, did you ever imagine we'd be going to Lenegis? After all, this is the sort of thing I was rebelling against when I ran away from home, right?
I'm sure Zephyr would be proud if he knew what his son was doing right now.
And a little shocked, too.
We're defying the order of things that have persisted for 300 years. Deep down, I knew our journey would lead to confronting Lenegis.
Yeah, you maybe, but you're a Renan. The rest of us can barely even picture what it means to leave Dana.
No
Eich.
offense to Shion and
Eich.
Dohalim, but it's worth remembering we're heading into enemy territory.
No offense taken, and this is no picnic for me either.
Remember, our aim is to ensure that both Lenegis and the Renan homeworld leave Dana alone for good. I don't think we'll be able to avoid a fight.
Is there no way we can talk them into leaving us alone?
The people of Lenegis?
Sure. I mean, we found a way to make it work with Shion and Dohalim, right? And it's not just us. If places like Menancia can do it, then why can't we?
Because there are still many of my kind who believe it was right and natural that Rena reigns over Dana.
Взял
There
просто,
are those on
перебил
Lenegis
ее.
who have never stepped foot on Dana. I doubt whether they'd even listen to Danans.
Look, none of us want to fight. But these are the same people who fired that wedge down on Dana. What happens next is on them.
Right. We're not going to sit back and wait for them to oppress us again.
Right.
Don't
Right.
forget,
Right.
there's also a good
Right.
chance the Red Woman is somewhere on Lenegis. And wherever she is, we should find the Renaissance too.
That's right. If we can take it back, then Shion can finally get rid of her thorns. Shion?
Huh? Yeah.
Пацан сидит, рука-лицо. Сейчас он обнаружит, что Шон нету. Звездолета нету.
Shion?
Ладно, шучу. Звездолет есть. Ха, как предсказуемо. Фух, звездолет на месте, все нормально. Ваша команда
Where'd
распалась.
Shion go? How could she just go off on her own?
Ой, а куда же она делась? Блин, я думала, около нее можно будет побегать и поорать, что... А куда же делась Шион? А мы ее не видим. А нет, катсцена началась. Обидно.
Shion. Shion! It's your thorns? But why?
Что творится?
You okay? Just now, it looked like you used your maiden powers to suppress your thorns. You can really do that?
В смысле ее?
Stay out of my way.
За кого мне опять играть? Вы чё, ребят?
Wait a second. Are you planning to go alone?
Shut up!
Why would you do this?
I told you to shut up!
Водный пистолетик. Не, надо поставить нормальное оружие всем. Это смотрится чертовски нелепо.
I mean it.
I refuse to let you.
Или нам сейчас придется с ней
I won't
драться.
tell you again. Move or I'll shoot.
If that's the case, then go ahead and shoot me!
Но мне играть будет не за кого. Вы чё? Мне придется ее брать в полет. Мне это необходимо. Выстрелить же. Не выстрелила. Блин, я думала, выстрелит. Я верила ей. Вы прибежали не с той стороны, ребят. Так. Ну,
Do you
готовимся.
remember back when I was stabbed? By Rolron?
Yeah. I thought for sure that he had killed you back there.
That wasn't the first time. The first time was when I was only a child. After that, no matter how often, I just couldn't die.
Couldn't die. So you're immortal? How's that even?
Фига, одним жестом его заткнула.
But tell me how is something like that
Ну, что-то она
possible?
врет, что она умереть не может.
My thorns.
Сколько раз мы сдохли.
They're me, but at the same time not. They're part of me. I have no idea why, but my thorns will never let me die. At least not before I'm meant to.
You can't die before your death?
When my thorns free themselves, it will be my death. I've seen it. A darkness that swallows up everything until nothing remains. It's a vision of oblivion I can't escape. I want to believe it's all just a bad dream. But no matter what I tell myself,
Как же они в Талосах любят убивать главных
I know it's
героев.
not.
Во всех Талосах убивали. А!
Wait. The whole reason you needed the Renaissance was to get rid of your thorns, right?
Следующее такое
If I burn
сообщение
away
не
what's
бань.
inside,
Я его сохраню, чтобы оно автоматически банилось.
right. Either way you look at it, I'm going to die. But if I am going to die, I figure I can at least take my thorns out with me. That's what I've been after this whole time.
That's why you turned your back on your fellow Renans and chose to fight with us, isn't it? And while we've all been fighting to keep on living, you have been with us fighting desperately to die.
That was the plan. But then I met all of you. And before I knew it, I didn't want to die anymore.
А, ну да, точно. Ну, катсцена закончится.
Don't lose hope yet. We'll find a way to save you. There's still time to.
It's pointless.
Why?
Because the darkness won't just consume me. The truth is, it will consume all of existence as well. It was only a suspicion at first, but ever since the Red Woman triggered my maiden powers, I've been more certain than ever before. It was then that I finally came to realize my powers were holding my thorns in check the entire time. But they don't anymore. Not since Lenegis, when the wedge fell. Every day, I feel the thorn's power growing stronger inside of me. Pretty soon, I won't be able to hold them back anymore. And when that happens,
They will consume all existence.
And that's why you wanted to leave by yourself. You planned to find the Renis Alma on your own and sacrifice yourself to stop the thorns.
But that's too much. It's way too much.
when this all began, I didn't care what happened to me or anyone else. And what happened to the Renans or the Danans didn't matter to me at all. I know I have to die, but I don't want to. Not now that I have this. I wish we had never met. Then I wouldn't have to feel this way.
Shion!
Elfin?
Living for the sake of dying is no better than being a slave. How can you endure this?
Elfin.
It's not fair. I don't care what anybody says. I won't let it happen.
Началось аниме.
We can fight this. We'll fight until the end together. Isn't that what you said to me before?
Even if it should mean that it'll be the end of everything else too?
Shion, what do you want? It's your decision ultimately. But if you decide not to fight fate, I will. Even if I have to do it alone.
No, you won't be alone. I'll fight as well.
Count me in as well.
Кстати, он еще в металле. Он хороший проводник. Представим, что это электричество. Ой-ой, ему больно. Но самое забавное, что ей потом его и лечить.
You guys.
And I, for one, don't believe this venture is without hope. Shion is the descendant of a maiden from 300 years ago. Given the circumstances, it seems very likely that those events have some connection to her thorns. The true nature of which, I imagine we will discover as we make our way to Lenegis and uncover the truth of what's unfolding here.
I take it you mean we might find a way to get rid of her thorns and she'll live?
It's certainly possible. Though I suspect the nature of the Sovereign is connected somehow.
So be it. I've already lost everything I had once. And I won't let it happen again. Shion. No matter what happens from now on,
Я не буду плакать. Я не буду плакать. А-а-а.
all of us are. You are not alone.
You guys. You're all so stubborn. you, everyone. For right now, and a little while longer, I just want to hold on to this dream. And most of all, more than anything else, I want to be with all of you.
Нормально.
So let's go. On to Lenegis.
Наверное, есть, кстати. Ну давай, со всеми пора поговорить.
The end of the world. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Почему он смотрит на нас как на говно? Не делай этого.
As a friend, yes, I want to believe her. Everything that's happened seems to point towards some sort of great danger that's lurking ahead of us. Still, it's hard to fathom something that could usher outright doom to the world. That those really are the stakes we face.
Главное, чтобы суть понятна была так-то.
I understand. Even Shion doesn't seem to know exactly what will happen to bring it all about.
We have so many pieces of the puzzle in our hands, so many clues, yet the complete picture eludes us.
So where do her thorns fit in then?
Well, I imagine they must sit at the very center of it all. You remember the voice we all heard while we were inside the wedge, don't you?
Yeah, I remember. It was the will of Dana's astral energy come to life. Or that's what we all thought.
Right. And from that, we're able to hypothesize how vast concentrations of astral energy can become sentient. Let's return to when we found Shion in Pelagian. When her thorns went wild, they contained far more astral energy than any mere Renin would normally have inside them.
So you think those thorns might be alive too? That their will is what keeps her from dying?
Шипы будут последним
But why
боссом?
would they want to destroy the entire world?
As for that, I really cannot say for certain. Its goals still remain a mystery. It may be a mere fluke that her maiden powers have been able to contain it thus far.
Будем драться с тентаклями.
You know, I've noticed since we've met that you like figuring out riddles.
На самом деле, я уже успела распрощаться с тем, что мне опять
When one
играть
realizes
не
that
за
the world
Шион
they once thought to
и
be true is but a mere facade,
страдать
They can't
за
help but
других
seek the
персонажей. Но нет,
especially
Шион
when that
остался со
deception
мной.
has led to others getting hurt.
Dohalim?
I imagine the remaining pieces of the puzzle that we seek rest somewhere within Lenegis. As for what the final picture will look like, who can say? I think it's best we not dwell on it too much for the time being.
Right.
How you holding up?
Who, me?
Yes, you. You took a hit from those thorns again, didn't you?
Oh, that? That was nothing.
Compared to what Shion's going through, you mean? Still, even if you yourself might be willing to endure that kind of pain, that
Да
doesn't
еще не
mean
скоро
Shion
последний
wants to have
босс,
to
ты
see you
чё?
get hurt by her thorns,
Учитывая,
you
что
know?
там 80-й уровень,
Yeah,
70-й.
I'll be careful.
Нам еще качаться и качаться.
Shion doesn't know how lucky she is to have you around, you know? Dashing in to save her at the last minute.
Yeah, very funny.
I'm being serious. You went up and held her close like you still had that mask on, and you didn't even bat an eye. She really needed that. That's what I mean when I said you saved her. Just like you did with the rest of us.
I just want for Shion what we all have.
Что за
The
палево?
ability to touch
Я
someone
недовольна.
without the fear of killing them. Those thorns have robbed her of the kind of everyday things we all take for granted. And it's not right.
You can say that again. It may be normal for us, but that doesn't make it any less special or important for her. I hope she gets what she wants. I have my own dreams, but a world without her, where she dies so we can all survive, isn't a world I want to live in.
Agreed. It's like more and more keeps getting taken from her, and I'm done with it.
Так, пошли дальше болтать. Так вот, поменять оружие.
Can't sleep?
Кроме пацана. Пацана оружие не меняем.
How could I?
Fair enough.
Shion's had to deal with so much on her own. Even when we were all laughing and celebrating, she just kept quiet and didn't say anything. I thought she was keeping her distance because of her thorns. That it was because she didn't want to hurt anybody by getting too close. I just figured that that was the type of person she was, you know? But it turned out to be none of that. All this time, she felt like she had to die and sacrifice herself for the greater good. But even then, she didn't think she could say anything to us about it.
I know.
She was so alone this entire time. How could I call her a friend and yet be so completely blind to everything she was going through?
I'm sure it made her happy, knowing you were there for her.
You really think so?
Yeah, I do. If she didn't think of us as friends, I don't think she could have ever opened up to us like that. You were a good friend to her before, and you'll be an even better one now.
Yeah, I really hope so. I want to be the best I can for her. When you think about it, we were all alone in our own way. But over time, we've all found ways to let each other into our lives. I hope Shion's able to do that one day too. No, I mean, I hope she's able to do that more. Lots and lots more.
О,
I
пухуня.
think it'd be really nice if we could all just be there to support each other when it really counts. And forget about our grudges and pain.
Rinwell.
И сверчки на заднем фоне.
Did you know?
You mean about Shion?
Yeah, I didn't have the slightest idea. I mean, every once in a while I thought something seemed a little off, but I never could have
Миссия
imagined.
суицидника.
It's like a completely different world was spinning around me and I couldn't even see it.
You and me both. I mean, I knew something was bothering her, but
Но в принципе они
I could never
готовятся
quite
к
figure out what it was.
последней битве. Пам-па-па-пам.
But you're the one always looking out for her, aren't you?
That's what I thought.
Хотя на самом деле сейчас еще, мне кажется, будут боссы, куча квестов, боссы.
At least you figured it out in time though, right?
I don't think we're out of the woods yet. But yeah, you're right. We brought her back from the edge, and we're going to stop those thorns from taking her, no matter what.
Yeah, with all of us together, there's nothing we can't handle. Shion, the world, we can save everyone. And I mean it when I say we.
Ставлю на то, что кто-то сдохнет. Как бы
I know.
грустно это не
No
было.
lone wolfing it.
Hey, you're the expert on what my dad would say. Do you think he'd pat me on the back or tell me off?
Zephyr, I don't think that he'd have that much to say, to be honest. You're your own man now, Law. And you've already made up your own mind about what you want.
I guess he couldn't say anything even if he wanted to.
Law.
Sorry. I guess those of us amongst the living have enough problems to deal with, don't we? We'll need all our strength to save Shion. I'll probably end up worrying again at some point. But I guess I'll think it over more then. That okay?
Yeah, I think it is.
Так, со всеми поболтали? С тобой поболтали, с тобой поболтали, с тобой поболтали, с тобой поболтали, с самим собой не поболтать. Значит, осталось только Шон. Логичненько. Мы ж не психи, в конце концов.
Hey, you doing all right?
I seem to cause nothing but worry. As much as I try to look like I have things under control, everyone still worries about me.
You're not the only one.
Hey, do you remember the first time you said I was your friend?
Ты помнишь, когда ты меня впервые зафрендзонил?
When was that? Sorry, I can't remember.
That's okay. It came so naturally to you, I'm not surprised you forgot. I was different back then. The Danans were not even people to me, and I knew I would always be alone. But in that room with Deadime, when you called me your friend, it just shattered the wall that I'd built up around me. Because until that moment, I'd only seen you as a means to an end. I thought of you as a way to use the blazing sword and to obtain the Renis Alma. But after that day,
Ты чекал,
my
что ли,
time became
выходил?
two. And before I knew it, you'd made a habit of calling me and Dohalim your friends. It didn't matter that we were Renins. You cared about us as you would any other people.
Так же нельзя, это нечестно. Я до сих пор не знаю, кто
Everyone
последний
else
босс.
started to call me their friend too.
Вообще ничего не знала о
To think of
боссах.
me as their friend. Before then, I never even dreamed I could have that.
Не тентакли, как так-то? Значит, мужик бродяжка. Ставлю на
I
двоих.
didn't want to die and lose you all. But I also didn't want to live if it meant you would all die in my place.
Shion.
But then I realized I'd only really been thinking of myself that entire time.
А ну тихо! Тихо!
After saying how I
Ты
felt
чё? Ты чё
and
делаешь?
hearing what you all had to say,
Нельзя
I
так.
finally understood that. Don't worry, it's okay. I'm not planning on dying anymore. I've met too many people along the way who I truly care about to give in now. So I'll fight. For Dana and for myself. I'll fight against my fate to preserve our future. And I'll win, come hell or high water. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I won't let the world end because of me.
Да нифига не
Long, hard
забуду.
road ahead, Shion.
Что ты
Our fight won't
наделал?
be over until everyone, both Danans and Renans, can finally live in peace. But I swear I'll be there with you until the very end.
Thank you.
Remember what we learned back in Calaglia? There's no wall so high that we can't break it down.
Тут не так
Yeah.
много мужиков и девок,
I
боссов.
think you may be right about
Так-то.
that.
Белобрысый мужик и красная девка. Все. Я все поняла. Нет, я не хочу отдыхать, я хочу вернуть тебя, снаряжение поменять назад. Нет, не то. Ну, погнали. Сохранимся, не хочу слушать эти долгие муторные диалоги. По новой. Оружие, оружие поменяй. Да по длине, походу, да, оно как Mass Effect. Так, облики я хотела. И какое-то оружие скучное у них стало. Фи. Ну, погнали. Взлетаем. Пароль Златовласка.
Well, it's
Давай.
the moment of truth.
This lady better hold together once we're up in the air.
Law, don't say that. You're going
А ну
to
всем
teach
сесть и
us.
пристегнуться.
Speaking of which,
Рассосались.
Alfred, this bucket of bolts got a name?
A name? You know, I'm not sure she ever had one. I never really thought about it.
Well, after all the trouble we went through to find her, we should give her one, right? I was thinking something like...
Fall Knights.
Huh?
It means owl in the ancient tongue. Literally, the one.
Она
towards the
везде.
sky.
Вот софофилка. Совофилка.
Sounds
Вот
perfect
она
for
кто.
our little escapade.
Совофил. Да сложное слово, но вы
I'm not
поняли.
sure I'm completely
Совофилка.
convinced, but,
Вот.
well, it's as good a name as any. From now on, she'll be
Даже
known
тут
as the
сов
Fall
приплела.
Okay, people. We have two goals. First, we need to get to Lenegis and make the Renans finally leave Dana alone. And then we need to figure out the truth behind Shion's
Много.
thorns
Нужно
and find a way
больше
to
сов.
save her. Sound good?
Она спит с совами. С совами. А!
All right. Then let's go.
Армия сов. Это забавно.
You know, I can still hardly believe it.
Believe what?
Не, они там говорили, что
I
они
mean,
типа его
just look at
ремонтируют.
it. The whole of
Типа его надо
existence crammed inside a
отремонтировать.
tiny frame.
Now that you mention it, I guess you're right. It does look more like a painting than a living, breathing world.
Я не посмотрел, появились ли дополнительные квесты. Блин, ребят, разворачивайте корабль. Разворачивайте это корыто. Нам надо вернуться.
Kinda makes the differences between the Renans and the Danans feel pretty small too, huh?
Это не земля, это
How much
Данна.
longer until we reach Lenegis?
Отвечаю.
There are better ways to use your time than napping. We should take a moment to familiarize
Я себе
ourselves
тоже
with
так
the
говорю,
facilities on
когда
board
не
before
сплю.
arrival.
Есть вещи поважнее
Good idea.
сна.
The starship may end up serving as our base of operations once we're down there. Think you'll be all right with the controls?
You mean the one set to automatic pilot? I dare say I'll manage. I'm basically just here to supervise.
In that case, she's all yours.
Ваша команда опять со всеми болтает. Да мы только что болтали, ну игра, ну ты чё?
Different. Like in a
Опять диалоги.
Is something wrong?
No. I was merely thinking how it had been 7 years. That's all.
You mean since you
Я
became a
забыла,
lord
как
and left
назывался
Lenegis?
корабль.
I guess even
В
someone
Mass
like you
Effect,
can get
блин.
homesick, huh?
I am as prone to sentimentality as any other. Tell me though, you too have a history with Lenegis.
Да они всех бы
Which you
языком
imagine will
победили. А вот
This trip will
Нормандия.
probably mean facing up to some difficult emotions.
Там была Нормандия 2, я помню,
Doesn't
поэтому
that
это будет
frighten you?
Нормандия 3.
Well,
Все.
it is
Разобрались.
a place where I took the lives of countless people. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't
Самое
thought
забавное,
about
я
it.
помнила букву
But I
Н.
can't keep running forever. The past is what it is. There's no changing that. But the future's what we make it.
I see.
Dohalim?
Forgive me. I was wrong to pry. We have more pressing matters to address. Come back and speak to me when you finish looking around the ship.
И с тобой мы поболтаем, ты не
We'll be
переживай.
going to Lenegis soon.
This must feel like a homecoming of sorts to you, huh?
Ну,
was life on
чем
Lenegis?
богаты, чем
You
богаты.
know, before you came to Dana.
Let's just say I don't have many happy memories. I've had thorns my whole life. For as long as I can remember.
Сколько еще за игру она скажет, что шипы были с ней
But
всю
in
жизнь?
truth, they were just using me as a guinea pig for their research.
You mean they experimented on you?
That's right. All I was to them was a riddle to solve. They poked and prodded me, trying to figure out what triggered my thorns or changed the form they took. Day in and day out, every single day, one test after another. I'm still surprised they didn't try to dissect me. The look they gave me whenever one of them touched my skin. How could I forget it? Reeling from the pain, like I was a monster or something. Some existence, huh? A blight on any I touched, helplessly complicit in their pain. I thought things couldn't get any worse, but then they did. I started to have nightmares, visions of the coming apocalypse. Is it any wonder I lacked a cheery disposition? Unable to so much as touch another soul. Loneliness was my best friend. Sure, I survived, but with the knowledge that one day I'd be swallowed up by oblivion. And that's when it hit me. If I was going to die, then it should mean something. If I have to
Ну не,
sacrifice
это было бы
myself to
вообще
save the world,
кринжово
so be it.
как-то.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make
Я
you relive
надеюсь,
that.
такого не было.
No, it's fine. I'm in a much better place now.
You say it's your destiny to die so that others can live. But why Why not the other way around? Why shouldn't we be the ones dying to save you?
Are you crazy? Why would you sacrifice your life for...
That's exactly my point. Why should you have to give up your life just because you drew the short straw in the destiny stakes? How is that even right? It's that logic that's used to justify slavery, as if some of us were just meant to be sacrificed. This struggle was never about saving only ourselves. But that doesn't mean we have to give up our own lives to save everyone else's either. If we're doing this to protect people, if we're doing this to save the world from destruction, then that has to include
Вот
saving the
что-что,
children as
не
well.
люблю особо такие разговоры, они мне кажутся немножко душными.
That's what you've been fighting for all along,
Ты
isn't it?
сидишь такой, да прекратите вы уже.
Not just me. We're in this together, remember? This fight is yours too, Shion.
Но там бла-бла-бла без смысла, а тут хотя бы бла-бла и даже со
There can
смыслом.
be no room for losers in this fight. Now I see it, the true nature of our struggle.
A victory without losers. But that means that a Danon victory over Rena can't be the end. Do you think we can pull it off?
You bet we can pull it off. We have to. It's the only hope
Не,
we
ну
have
мне
of
не
things
настолько
ever
все
changing.
равно. Но
Yeah, you're right. No one
немножко
ever
иногда
changed the
перебор у них
future
с этим. Есть
without
такое.
aiming for the stars. We can do this together.
Вы еще мизинчики друг другу пожмите. Вот. А может, я хочу за столом посидеть? О, смотрите, зато с этими с двумя. Минус один диалог.
Alvin, listen to this. So Law and I were just talking, and
Hey, shut up!
What's got Law all flustered?
only that he's afraid of flying, the big baby. And after all that fuss he made about naming the ship too.
Hey, I never said I was scared. I just think it's, you know, a little unsettling how we're going to be cruising through space in a glorified tin can. That's all.
It's a starship.
Хватит главного
dummy.
героя
That's what it's
избивать.
supposed to do.
Он не заслужил
I
этого.
don't think there's anything strange about it.
Well, maybe you're the one with the problem then.
Guys. I'm no expert, but I think we can trust Renin technology. It got me to Dana in one piece, remember?
Ты об этом даже не помнишь.
Oh, that's a good point. If you think so, Alvin, it
Посадите
must
его
be
кто-нибудь в
okay.
клетку.
Don't you agree, Law?
Hard to argue with that, seeing how you hitched a ride in one
Может,
of
на
these
самом
things
деле он
before,
играет со своими
Alfred.
кроликами.
It's just
А-а-а.
wrong, okay?
А нам этого не показывают. Маленький извращенец.
You okay? Feeling airsick?
Actually, now that you mention it, not at all. These starships are a remarkably smooth ride, all things considered.
Или ты была
Nothing like
симулянткой.
being at sea, thank goodness.
Glad to hear it. That device there caught your eye, huh?
I was just wondering what it is. It looks big enough to fit a person inside of it.
It's a healing pod. It fixes injuries and illnesses.
Это да.
Oh, you don't say. That should definitely come in handy if any of us get injured while we're down there. Alphen? Was it something I said?
No, I was just thinking back to when I escaped Lennigus, that's all. What with the ceremony and losing control, I was a total mess. Naori laid me inside here.
So, you're saying you got in
Почему
this thing straight after
библиофилка?
escaping? Does that
Совофилка.
mean you were inside for 300 years?
Yes, it sounds crazy, I know. But don't even ask me why I stayed asleep all that time.
That's definitely quite some lie-in, all right. But still, whether you meant to or not, I sure am glad that it's this century that you finally woke up in.
What do you mean?
With the amount of fighting we've done, we would have never made it
главный
this far
герой,
without
да.
you. And not only that, but Alphen, can you recall back to what it is that I said to you back when we left Menancia? About the dream of coexistence and needing to learn what it entailed?
Of course. That's why you came with us, right? To learn what you couldn't at home.
А, там,
Even in
мадемуазель,
that time,
которая
I was well
библиофилка,
aware
тогда
that what
да,
I was living
тогда
was
да.
a lie. But at the same time, I also felt really compelled to fulfill my brother's wishes. I'll always remember him fondly. But the coexistence we're fighting for isn't for him. It's for people now, and those still to come. The world is
Своё
bigger than
отоспал.
just men
Пора
and sea.
работать. Мир
My
спасать.
dream is for all Danans, wherever they might be, to be free. If I've learned anything on this journey, it's that. And the one who brought me along was you, Alphen. I'll forever be grateful to you.
Well, we're not out of this forest just yet. You should probably save your
Женщина
thanks.
в
At least.
Она
until
в
we talk to the
красном.
red woman.
Значит, ему и надо разобраться с ней. Ха-ха-ха.
But
Смешно.
whatever we find
Нет.
when we get down there, I'm through looking the other way.
Kisara.
Probably getting a little ahead of myself, huh? Let's take things one step at a time.
Забегая вперед, не забегай назад. А. Тук-тук-тук-тук-тук-тук-тук-тук-тук-тук-тук. Главный диалог. Собираем команду назад в кучу.
Is everyone about ready? We'll soon be making preparations to land.
А почему их никто не
Before
пытается
we do
сбить?
that, just what exactly should we expect when we get down there?
Kisara has a point. Now that I think of it, I don't know the first thing about Lenegis.
I'd like to hear more too. It's been centuries since I was last there, and they didn't exactly give me the grand tour.
Very
Это
well.
да.
First and foremost, Lenegis was the base of operations in charge of the crown contest on Dana. Of course, it also happens to be a city in its own right, complete with its own independent society. Its social structure is based on a strict hierarchy. Put simply, the strength of an individual's astral arts carries great weight.
Enough to determine someone's social rank, you mean? But astral arts are innate, right? So people's positions are fixed at birth.
Сложные
They
диалоги.
can be honed
Это
with
же
the right
вникать
training,
надо.
and there are admittedly other factors at play. But yes, that's basically the gist. As a result, family lines that churn out lords and their contenders wield disproportionate influence, and those lineages are treated as nobility.
Those capable of only weak astral arts are effectively an underclass, denied the right to descend to Dana even if they wanted to. Still, even the lowest rung on the Renin ladder is considered superior to being a Danan. Keep that in mind down there.
Thanks for the warning. As a lord, Dohalim must have been pretty high up in the pecking order, right? What about you, Shion?
Come on, you've seen her skill with astral arts. You really need to ask?
Fair point.
On arts alone, you're right. I'd have been sitting pretty. But you're forgetting my thorns. They weren't exactly an invitation to high society.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's refreshing to be around someone who says what they're thinking. Life's less complicated that way.
Jeez, give backhanded compliments much?
Wait a second. Are you? He is!
Неправда.
Paul's blushing!
Не покраснел.
I am not!
Обычно, когда он покраснел, он реально краснел. Обманывает девочка нас. Обманывает.
Discrimination at its worst.
Не верьте лолям.
As if such simplistic criteria could ever be a measure of someone's worth.
So this red woman, are we expecting to find her on Lenegis?
I would wager so. Lenegis is too deeply involved in all this to discard the possibility. Chances are she's also connected to the Renis Alma being stolen from us in Pelegion.
If the Renis Alma is being used to exploit Dana, we need to take it back at all costs.
That red
Нет.
woman's got a lot to answer for. Just as well I've got a ton of questions.
Кто хочет на
We're
посадку?
about to land.
Кто?
The descent could be a little bumpy, so brace yourselves.
If there are clues about your thorns out there, Shion, we'll find them.
Я даже ему ничего не ответила. Что за человек? Там будет звездюли. Мы любим звездюли? Любим? Нет. Но они нас ждут. А как они так корабль быстро очистили?
There's no one here. I wasn't expecting a welcome mat, but still.
Lenegis's infrastructure is largely automated. Besides, People won't be expecting incoming traffic while the crown contest is still underway.
Внезапно.
Do you think anyone realizes that we're here?
We may not have received a royal welcome, but I doubt our entrance went unnoticed. Don't let your guard down.
Мы начеку. Мы готовы.
I really hope we don't have to fight anybody while we're here.
So now what? We've come all this way on a hunch that this red woman is here, right? And if we're lucky, the Renis Alma too. Any idea where we should start looking?
There is an area of the city that is accessible only to the sovereigns, known as the Forbidden Zone. That seems as good a place as any for us to start.
Ну да, правитель у нас все равно есть.
Forbidden? What are they hiding?
I don't know, hence my desire to find out. Fortunately, we just so happen to have a
Какая
sovereign in our midst.
неожиданность.
In any case, changing the shape of a huge structure such as Lenegis would have required an immense source of power.
And you think that source might have been the Renis Alma?
Precisely. Alfin said that he remembered the Renis Alma being used in the spirit channeling ceremony 3 centuries ago. Whatever the ceremony's purpose, if preparations are underway for it to be held once more, then the Renis Alma might be in the same place as last time, possibly together with the Red Woman. Hiding something of that worth in the residential quarters would only court trouble. In which case...
It stands to reason we should be looking somewhere normally out of bounds. Is that it?
Indeed.
But it's been over 300 years since I was made a sovereign. You can't seriously think I'll be able to waltz right into the place after all this time.
There's only one way to find out. If there's even a chance you can get us in, I say we
Это
give it
да.
a shot.
Я очень удивлюсь. Кстати, мы не выполнили тот квест с гурманом.
We might
Нет!
even find
За
a clue to her
что?
thorns while we're at it.
All right. It's not like we're swimming in leads, so let's try to track down the Forbidden Zone. Beyond that wall lies a city full of Renins.
О, фига себе. Офигеть. Вот. Все ради подписчиков. Хвостик есть? Есть. Ушки есть? Есть. Все как надо. Все для вас. Он готов к бою. Да, трубу сдала. Но ничего не получила. Ми. А, ее можно как оружие использовать. Единственная польза. Ну, что-то выглядит так себе. Ваф, ваф, ваф. Но зато музыка приятная тут. Самый говный город, который мы встречали в этой игре. Выглядит не очень.
What in the world?
This being Renin territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
When Lenegis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dana?
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes, right?
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either way, locating the Forbidden Zone just became that much trickier.
Dohalim? Is that you?
Не, ну это да.
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it
Ой,
is
а
you.
внимашки будет?
But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest? And these people.
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana then?
Heard what?
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim. Don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening. But so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well.
Ой, мы тут
Looks
надолго,
like we'll have
ребят.
to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
No.
I see. Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself. Okay, Doe?
Ту-ту-ту-ту-ту-ту.
So who's Faria?
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Lenegis are being kept in the dark about what's happening down on Dana.
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world. Despite the fact that it's actually here that the wedge originally came from.
We need more information. Let's talk to the citizens, see what we can find out.
While we're at it, we can ask them about the Red Woman, too.
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden Zone either.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Danans poking their noses around.
Good idea. I think that's for the best.
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lenegis has its advantages.
Right. Then we'll leave it to you two. The Danans among us should probably keep our...
What could be so important?
Одели бы на них
It's worth
капюшончики, чтобы
destroying
типа не
people's
выделялись.
livelihoods and homes in the process. It's just unbelievable. Uprooting an entire city as if it were mere building blocks. Someone's got an awful lot of questions to
Детальки
answer.
Лего.
From how it
Разобрали.
looks, they must be siphoning off astral energy from Dana, and then sending it to Rena.
But why do all this? What for? Surely they can't be using all that energy for the crown contest.
Whatever their purpose, disrupting their siphoning process alone won't be sufficient. Not while we still don't know what their endgame is.
He's right. We need to stop this from happening ever again.
This Forbidden Zone might be where we find some answers, right? So what are we waiting for? Let's get moving!
Let's get moving.
You don't have time to stop and chat. Let's move.
И сейчас они опять будут болтать. Спорим? Ха! Ха!
So,
Кто прав?
I've
Кто
been
прав?
wondering, do you think when Lenegis was built, it was even made with people living here in mind?
What do you mean?
Well, none of this happened by coincidence, right? They must have designed it to transform like this. But then, if they knew people were going to live here, you'd think they would have taken that into consideration to avoid all this chaos.
Ordinarily, yes. You'd think so. Trust me, as far as we were concerned, Lenegis was our home, nothing more. No one knew about all this. makes you wonder whether the city was just built on as
Звучит
an
как
afterthought.
смешная шутка из
To what
этих
exactly?
анекдотов.
Sorry. That probably sounded weird, huh?
Not at all. Sometimes it takes an outsider's
Они
eye
такие,
to
это
help you
мы просто не
notice
в том
what you've been
оттенке
missing all
красного.
along. This place is a mystery, that's for sure. Something tells me we'll find answers where we're going, though.
Yeah, you're right, Shion. I'm sure we will.
Эй, дед.
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look at the state of our city.
Ой, и тут зоглы.
Even the Zugals have stopped heeding our commands. Whatever did we do to deserve this?
You really have no clue what might have caused this?
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior decree. His Highness must have deemed it unnecessary for us to know. We have no choice but to grin and bear it.
Мне прям за его жалко становится.
But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris? I believed he was on Dana.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty, the details of which I cannot divulge.
Ля, какой
As your
пафосный.
lordship wishes. First Lenegis mutates beyond recognition. Now this unexpected visit. The Sovereign's plans are inscrutable indeed. The Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be praying for your victory in the latest crown contest.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Ну давайте, я подхиляем, давай. Илкарась. Мы тебе можем готовить изысканное парфе. О, ура! Есть куда тратить. Ура! О, ништяк. Вот это прям хорош. Ура! Новые атаки, новые атаки, новые атаки, новые атаки, новые атаки.
Unimpressed.
Я типа счастлива. Ага, поэтому кругами бегаю.
Your lordship. Oh, what a great honor it is to finally meet you. I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I returned. I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red.
Женщина в красном. Про женщину в красном.
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember anyone like that. I imagine she'd stand out somewhat, too.
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around the lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time.
Опа-на, может, ты что знаешь?
Is everything okay? You look a little lost.
Hmm? Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home, is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way
Я когда
myself.
выпью так же.
The situation is a real pain,
Кругами
huh?
хожу. До дома добраться не
I
могу.
suppose the sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste
Ну, скорее всего, да.
were around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome. I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! But how? Last I heard, you were in Dana competing in the
Да все так думали, мы поняли,
Yes,
поняли.
Strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful if you could tell us.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here with what looks to be an entrance in it.
Я так сразу поняла, где это находится. А, я поняла, где это находится.
But I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating, at least. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me? A lord troubling himself for someone of my lowly status?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renan, first and foremost.
Oh, why yes, my lord. Thank you.
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
С тремя человеками столько разговоров, столько много.
They haven't heard the news about the crown contest either.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here. Has it always been like that?
Not to this extent, which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth, that Lenegis is under some kind of control.
Женщины в
Given everything
красном.
that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it all.
Yeah, that one guy even said his Zoogle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people are in big trouble.
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Their belief runs deep. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of the Sovereign's grand plan.
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this person ruling over Lenegis?
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegis.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegis alone would be difficult enough.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenegis has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenegis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth, surely.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lenegis from so far away?
Ничего не понятно опять. А, сколько можно?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Да, учитывая, что мы встретили еще одного правителя. Господи Иисусе.
Before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Lenegis. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign. Though, it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent. As for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegis. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Danon. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron was made Sovereign for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 Sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganath Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity here?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working together, do you? The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that it seems will remain unanswered until we can establish the Sovereign's identity.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana, too.
Вы уже это говорили, но вы не знаете, где находится запретная зона, господи.
Mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. It could point us in the right direction.
А, ну тогда ладно.
Let's go find it.
Претензия не засчитана.
I didn't realize Renans oppressed their own kind too.
And yet, weirdly, none of them seem to mind. Am I the only one who finds that strange?
It is the way things have always been, so no one thinks to question it. You have experience in that regard yourself, do you not?
Unquestioning acceptance of your own servitude. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Even so, the quality of life here seems
И диалогом погоняет, не иначе.
I used to think it was impossible to build an ideal society without wealth. But I suppose having it doesn't always mean people are treated fairly either.
More to the point, not a single citizen seems to have even heard of the Red Woman.
What if she's not here? What if it turns out we're looking in the wrong place entirely?
It's still too early to say anything for sure.
For all we know, she might be able to blend in, move around unnoticed. I say we hold off judgment until we've exhausted every avenue.
Заглянем под каждый камушек. Прочитаем каждый диаложечек.
Has that skill of yours got a name?
And what skill would this be, pray tell?
You know, when you're talking to people around town. The way they suddenly become putty in your hands.
I'm afraid I don't quite follow.
Ну, скорее всего, да.
It's called friendly intimidation. Look imposing and speak in a deep,
Ну, тут он
booming
полностью
voice and
раскрывается.
presto. You'll have
Как
people
я
wrapped
понимаю,
around
те
your
тут
finger
все
in no
разжевывают.
time.
I would never stoop to such scandalous tricks. Any feelings of intimidation are solely in the eye of the beholder.
So there is a knack to it. How do you learn it? Can anyone do it?
Now you've got me curious. Is there special training to master?
Ой,
Let's
поудобнее
see.
уселась.
An obsession with being
Ты можешь
elegant
дальше
is a
играть.
must. Oh, and it helps to be old-fashioned too. Bonus points if you speak in a way no one can understand.
If you've a bone to pick with me, it'd be quicker to just come out and say it.
What? They look up to you, that's all. I'm just helping them along.
Hey! What's got into Alvin and Law all of a sudden?
I can barely understand a word they're saying. And what's with the weird poses? Was it something they ate?
I hope you're willing to take the blame for this one.
I wasn't expecting them to take me so seriously. I'll go and have a word with them.
Еще один диалог? Нет, нет.
With nobody left to run the show. I mean, there's sovereigns up on the Renin homeworld.
But Dohalim was a lord.
Only current acting lords have power. Renin society is quite...
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able to do much about the situation.
I wonder what they'd think if they were here to see Lenegis now. Balsif, Cannabelt, Almadria. Now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about the other lords.
Well, yeah, why would we? To us Danins, they were just enemies we needed to overthrow.
I know. But seeing Renins in their own city, going about their...
It feels strange to imagine the lord...
Yeah.
If you're that curious about them, why not try inquire? Every lord in their household has their share of support. And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana.
Внезапный квест. Внезапный квест. Ну, давайте.
Yes!
Yes!
Balsef had it in him to care about someone other than himself? Really?
It's possible.
А, бегать.
A change in position can do much to alter one's perspective.
Эй, мы тебя где-то видели. Как-то вообще не складно.
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Lenegis then.
Кто
The
именно?
lines were down, so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them too.
Опа, на сундук.
guy than at first glance.
Опа, на человек
I shall
появился.
refrain from commenting.
Клубника. Ням-ням. Там.
What?
Ganabelt was so horrible to people. Yet he was invested in helping Rena succeed.
Да, они все походу делают.
Doesn't that seem just a little
Дупляю, что
inconsistent?
произошло.
I'm perhaps biased in this matter, I admit. However,
Так, тут мы все узнали.
in my mind, while all lords vie to become the next sovereign, they're also meant to serve as guardians of all of Rena.
It seems like Ganabelt also had people he cared about until the very end.
So why couldn't he extend that to us Danits?
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Pardon me.
Интересно, что с ними было бы, если мы сказали, что мы всех порешали? Ну, кроме Дахалима, потому что он с нами в команде. Но его бы тоже порешали так-то. Ну, а феминистка.
Willingness to stoop to any low
Вот
came
она
from
кто.
a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief,
Ridiculous. Okay.
It seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Gannett Harrows changed so abruptly.
И?
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary, remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
When you think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently than the rest of us.
Yeah, despite the brutality they're known for.
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying all the weight and responsibilities of Renan
Злой ты,
society.
фу таким быть.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong.
Раньше было
It's what brings
лучше.
them together against
Да
outside
сейчас все так
forces,
говорят.
and nothing exemplifies that more than the lords.
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Rena, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you, because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the lords were all people, too.
Да ладно тебе.
Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danon doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one. I think that's something we've all seen.
Shion and
А он
Dolan
улетит.
definitely make a good case
Найдет
for it.
новую Ринвелл.
And I'm
Не
going to
будет жить
keep
с ней.
doing my best to make sure I earn that trust.
И
As a
вон
fellow
и
human
подушку
being
пустят.
above all else.
Вон его ж Дахалим хотел пухуню на подушке пустить. Вот и пусть на подушке. Это жестоко. Фу-фу-фу. Я не одобряю.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Hanfricht Milgras, the former lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfricht whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegus?
I guess over Holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegus from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed
Возможно, и
in
так.
Legion, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renan by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then.
Да,
Let's get a move on.
сказали они, и сейчас будет еще один диалог. Нет, диалога нет. А, нет, есть.
Doe?
Faria,
Что-то какая-то она
Isn't
обычная.
that the person that Avakir guy was?
But why are you here? Wait. Don't tell me you've given up on the crown contest and come crawling back home from Dana already. Nothing to say? Even though you were willing to kill Tarnigan to secure your position as Lord, you still... Kill?
I'm here to take care of something. If you wish to continue this conversation, I only ask that you wait until I'm finished.
Oh, of course. You always did prefer to take the coward's way out. Even after 7 years and living on that Danon rock, you haven't changed one bit. But
Да,
let me
10
tell
из
you,
10.
I haven't changed either. Not a day's gone by the past 7 years that I haven't hated you.
If killing me will bring you peace, then so be it.
Dohalim, what the hell are you saying?
First, I have business to take care of. If it's vengeance you seek, I will grant you it. But you must wait. My sins are legion. Let me finish what I came to do. Then you have my word. I will let you do whatever brings you peace.
Sure, that's it. Run away like always. You don't even have the courage to die. No wonder you leave it to someone else.
Можно ей дать леща, пожалуйста?
You're just a coward!
Опа-на! Женщина в красном. Сюжетные повороты!
Dohalim.
I apologize that you had to witness that.
Теперь его очередь
Is it
изливать
true? What
душу.
she said about you killing someone?
Блин, вы порешали
Each
столько
of us
людей
have
до
our
этого.
pasts. I am no exception.
Before, back in Menancia, you mentioned having taken a friend's life over the throne. Is that what she meant?
The mistakes I made there were not my first, and may not be my last. I will say no more.
Did you mean what you said? About letting her take your life if she wanted to?
She has more right to my life than anyone.
But you can't just...
Whatever happens, I have sworn to put an end to the crown contest, and to ensure continued coexistence in Menancia. I have no intention of expiring before I do so. There are far too many questions I still seek answers to. Besides, you have just as much reason to kill me as she does.
Dohalim!
Forgive me. Some things are best left unsaid.
Там была женщина в красном, но я думаю, если я вернусь, ничего не изменится. О, пацана голова болит. Мужик, бухать меньше надо. Не буду с вами разговаривать. Я лорд и правитель, а вы просто челядь. Ха-ха-ха-ха-ха. А можно я ее тоже подхиляю? Спонтанное желание помогать.
What could this be?
Я нашла сыр. О, тофу, последний ингредиент. Тофу!
Wow, this place is beautiful.
Yeah. It must be some sort of rest and leisure area for the locals.
You think? Man, these Renan sure know how to live it up, don't they?
Is something the matter, Dohalim?
Блин, он такой высокий.
Before I went down to
Офигеть.
Dana, my friends and I, we used to gather at this very spot and play music together. Avakir, Faria, and Tarnigan. That was a lifetime ago now.
Tarnigan. He was the one that Faria mentioned, right?
He was once my dearest, closest friend. As well as Faria's betrothed.
А, ну неудивительно, что она его ненавидит.
Despite Faria's lower-class upbringing, she possesses a tremendous talent for music. Entranced by her playing, I helped her overcome her sense of inferiority and introduced her to Tarnigan and Avakir. It was a time of great joy. 4 people bound only by their love of music, with no care for social standing. Only the next song, the next melody.
A friendship based on mutual respect, and a society where everyone is a prisoner to their social class. You really are different, Dohalim.
I suppose it's natural you would see it as strange.
I would have, once. Now, I think the idea of breaking away from society's constraints and choosing your friends based solely on affection is something beautiful that's worth cherishing. Besides, it was that way of looking at the world that laid the foundations for coexistence in Menancia.
Your praise does me too great an honor. I was merely following the wishes of my own heart. And even then, it only lasted until the crown contest began. After that, Tarnigan and I became fierce competitors for the position of Lord. Tarnigan had fallen for Faria. By becoming Lord, he aimed to wrest her from her humble origins and raise her to the highest echelons of society. But fate was not so benevolent.
What happened?
Tarnigan was no match for me in combat. On a level playing field, he wouldn't have stood a chance. But he was desperate and low on options, and he couldn't stand the thought of defeat.
You mean he resorted to dirty tactics to try to win, right? But then why does Faria think... Wait, don't tell me she doesn't know.
How could I tell her? Combined with the trauma of losing her beloved, and by her friend's hand, no less, she would have been devastated.
So instead you let her go on hating you, so she could use that hate as a crutch for her grief?
That's not the same as running away, though.
It is exactly the same. Unable to face the loss of my friend and the burden of my duty, instead I decried my fate and looked away from what I'd done. As for what happened after, that you already know.
But if you hadn't become Lord, Menancia wouldn't be what it is now. The Danans there would still be suffering under Renan oppression like before.
Shion's right. What other lord would have treated me as you did? Anyone else and I would have been dead long ago. You've saved so many people, Dohalim. You saved me. It's thanks to you that I'm here today. So, try not to blame yourself. The burden you've placed on your own shoulders is too much for anyone to bear.
Frank as always. But I shall do my best to heed your advice.
Do you think he'll be all right?
Yeah, I think so. He's got Kisara.
It's important to have someone like that.
I didn't realize how difficult it is just to be there for someone.
Sometimes just knowing someone's on your side can be enough. And he knows, Shion. I promise he does.
I hope you're right.
За нами следят. Ля какой.
Alphen,
Yeah?
I never appreciated
знаю, ты был
until
тут-то.
recently just how much you were always there to support me.
It goes both ways. You've helped me keep going more times than I can count.
Maybe, but I still wanted to say thank you.
I see a medic and supply officer over there. If they know you're with me, they'll likely offer their assistance.
Опа, точка переноса. Внезапно. А чё так дорого? Вы чё, из золота это делаете? Так, нам нужно 12400. Окей. Ух, не знаю, походу, да. Блин, как клево выглядит. А вот и нужная лишняя богомола. Вот. Извращенцы. Фу такими быть. Я надеюсь, этого нам больше не надо. Ну, не то. Флаконы жизни все. Персики есть. Апельсинки есть. Ананаски есть. В принципе, у нас все есть. Осталось только броню посмотреть. Давайте нашу броню купим. И... такую. И Ринвелл. Хотя вот ему еще можно. Извини, пёсель, остался ты без брони. Так, отдохнуть там тоже не помешает. Мы там карри можем приготовить. А вот, баул со свининой пусть будет.
This is perfect. I'll have everybody's mouths watering when they see this.
Выглядит вкусно. Опа-на.
Damn it. Lenegis soldiers.
Any way we can avoid fighting them?
That all depends on them. Whatever happens, be ready.
Well, so much for them not wanting.
Они нужны в одном уровне. Это хорошо. И хорошо, что оружие обновило. Скажем так, очень вовремя.
Didn't see about that. Save you. Mega Ray, divide, save you.
О, ништяк. Одного шотнули. О. Новым щиточком, как сейчас. Заколбасит всех. Вот так и дари бабам вещи. А, они не шотаются, офигеть. А, нет, шотаются, все, все. Тот шотнулся. Это у этого много хп.
Yeah, they weren't big talkers, that's for sure. They just attacked without warning.
They weren't in the least bit fazed by Dohalim's presence either.
Indeed. They seem to recognize us as enemies, nothing more. And yet, traditionally, Lenegis hasn't been high on threats. A few frenzied Zoogles during experiments here and there, but not much else.
Значит, вы идете в правильном направлении.
Reminded me of the soldiers and slaves we met back in Ganath Haros. The ones in blind devotion to Volron.
I've never seen anything like that here on Lenegis before.
Maybe someone doesn't want us here, and the soldiers are their way of letting us know.
What with the Red Woman, the Sovereign, and Volron, we're starting to develop quite the growing list of adversaries. At least we'll know to keep our wits about us.
Ой, наградное желе раздают. Неплохо, неплохо. Ух ты, богомол. А вы любите богомолов? Я ненавижу, допустим. Вот куда нам идти. Кстати, возможно. А почему вы зеленые? Кстати, я хотела прием ей поменять назад на это испепеляющий удар. Вот. Наконец-то мобы нормального уровня. Что-то я вообще не тех атакую. Ну он такой сразу на меня согрелся, скотина. Это же как хорошо сейчас должен пойти уровень. Ринвелл уже апнулась. Да не, ребят, разворачиваемся, уходим. К черту спасение всего. У тебя есть слабое место? У тебя нет слабого места.
You made me angry. That was a bad idea. Can't get out of this.
Давай, поджарь его. Интересно, а богомолы вкусные? Фу. Разошлись, тут да, ничего не скажешь. Опять? Да ладно. Не, я не против, это хорошо. Воюйте. Главное, не дохните. Ну, паровозик Томас, здравствуй. Ну, это как мини-босс идет, как я понимаю. А то, что они раньше так делали, ты не замечал? Допустим, двуглавая собака тоже была боссом. Но они используют только дополнительных боссов как, а не основных. Так и убил. Зараза. Ну, типа того. О, фига, она его заморозила. Ну, ковыряем мы его долго, конечно. Тут не поспоришь. Что-то меня быстро так сейчас шотнули. Ага, и тут у меня все закончилось. Прикольно, прикольно. А сколько у него еще хп? 47 тысяч всего-навсего. Фу! Ага, десятку сбрили уже. Еще десятку сбрили. добьем? Еще десятка. Четко как. Как она вовремя воскресла-то. Сколько осталось? Шестерка. Фух. Пот.
Hey, anyone else think this might be a touch too dangerous?
Ridwell's right. We should fall back to regroup and try again
Так,
later.
нам сюда? Нет, мы отсюда пришли. Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Она там что-то про трэш говорила, но я не поняла. Кстати, я кастовать стала быстрее, или мне кажется? Ну как-то категорично прям. А ему с огнеметом там нормально, да? Ты воздух подогреваешь? Из-за того, что зима, да? Так и думала. Фух. Нам жопа. Зато мы умеем тортики готовить. Вон те зеленые нам сейчас наставляют. Блин, я вижу, там несколько зеленых, только дошло. О, Альфон там воскрес. Вовремя очень. Так, валим его, валим. Они болючие. Летающая псина. Убили. Мертвая летающая псина. Ребят, вы хотите на меня напасть? И я не хочу, чтобы вы на меня нападали.
Those soldiers don't seem to have any qualms about attacking on sight.
Да я не хочу с еще одним богомолом драться, вы чё? Вы серьезно? А этот скилл все равно долго кастуется. Ну, опыт-то нам нужен. Не ваншотает, и спасибо на этом. Я хожу и кастую. По полгода. О, ништяк. Нет, хотел, ну ладно, сойдет. Грех жаловаться. Ну, это да. Я лучше несколько богомолов порешаю, чем 54 уровня мобов. Спасибо. Все лучше, чем мобы 54 уровня. О, опять. А и другая какая-то атака, более пафосная. Давай, возвращайся, если я не усну тут. Такое тоже может быть. А как он меня убил? Я даже знать не хочу. И так внезапно всех нас порешали. Сколько у него осталось? 47. Мэджик Казан. Да ладно, и никто не полег в итоге. Дожили. Ну, мы почти апнули уровень. Я могу просто есть овощи? Нет, не могу. Блин. Жалко, жалко. Вообще ни о чем. Персики-то лучше восстанавливают. Может, мне сюда? Нет, мне не сюда. Ребят, что охраняете? Добыть не могу, придется убивать. Это да. Чем-то похоже на это. Неплохое сравнение. Это просто мы стали сильнее. Ну да, как-то боссы любят способностями по КД спамить. Тут не спорю. Хотя я тем же самым страдаю, поэтому ну такое. Грех жаловаться. Так может у него тоже. Это все способности были. Так, Альфин что-то подыхает. Но мы с этим делать ничего не будем. Не, я думал, будет сложнее, но так как видно, у нас были возможности сделать оружие себе новое, вот нам легче и проходится. Сколько там всего? Пиу-пиу-пиу, так и делает. Держи персик, и тебе персик. Все равно оно уже не хиляет особо. Как могло бы. А, тут еще и песик улучшенный. Блин, это, конечно, нехорошо. Да ты чё стебешься? Я только там поле кинула хиляющее. Хотя вроде отхиляла. Песика светящегося тоже. На-на. И тебя тоже порешаем. Всех порешаем.
Lady Fortune must truly be watching over me.
Ну, виноградное желе дают. Пока дают, бери. Оп. И все, ХП восстановилось. А чё вас тут так много, ребят? Чё за тусовка? Чё за пати? С возвращением. Так. Колдую, колдую. Ща как наколдую. Ахалай-махалай. Так и полег, Альфан. Трое за зимой снег пошел. Ну, у нас снег лежит неплохой такой. Сегодня минус 27 обещают. Пойду поплачу.
Defeat.
Ну вот, для кого-то снег это редкость, а для кого-то постоянство. Пока что.
Nothing I can't fix.
Скажем так, я к такому не привыкла. 21 тысячу дали. Ну нифига ж себе. Мы сказочно богаты, сказочно богаты. Мы можем себе что-нибудь вкачать новенького? Ничего не можем. А тут можем. О, вот это хотела. Вот этот скилл как раз. Месть защитников. Атака зверя. Давайте месть защитников будем ждать. Хотя мы тут качали пробитие. Вообще мы вот это качали. Ну, давайте и вот это еще. Возможно, это будет открытие, но я не была в армии. Чё, пацаны, тебе качать нечего? Да догадываюсь, говорили мне, что там делать нечего, скучно. Мы сохранились, сохранимся еще раз. А чё в сундучке-то было? Я что-то тупанула и не обратила внимания. Что в сундуке было, кто знает. Может, там была одежка, а я и не заметила. Так. Одежки не было, значит, фигня была. Деньги. А, точно, деньги. Я ж еще подумала, что много денег. Спасибо, что напомнили.
This must be it. The entrance to the Forbidden Zone.
Как-то вы быстро ее нашли, не
But it's
находите?
just a wall. How do we get through?
Whoa, we? I thought this was sovereigns only.
Alvin.
Так, я отказываюсь играть за кого-то, кроме Шион.
It opened!
Interesting. If Alphen's presence still opens the way, it would seem the sovereign of 3 centuries ago and now are considered one and the same.
What?
What the?
Что происходит?
Alphen.
You again.
Tomorrow's the spirit channeling ceremony. We'll finally play our parts as the sovereign and maiden. How have you been feeling?
What am I sovereign of? Shuffled from lab to lab, always treated like an experiment. Whenever they look at me, all they see is a Danon. I don't even know what their precious ceremony's for, let alone what they're going to force me to do as the sovereign. Tell me, if we're both in the same boat, why do you seem so calm right now?
No choice. Becoming the maiden's not something I wanted for myself. But they said Rena's prosperity depended on it. How could I say no after that?
Still, as a Renan, at least you got to decide. Good for you. Meanwhile, I was taken from my homeland. You aren't the captive one here.
It isn't right what they did to you, and I'm sorry for what it's worth. When this is over, I swear I'll help you get home.
Так, ну обещание она сдержала, молодец.
One more day.
А еще мне кажется, у нее лицо Шион.
It's not like I have any choice in the matter
Один в один.
anyway. So, what's your name?
It's Naori. Naori Imaris. Try to remember this time.
You don't act like them. Like the other Renans, I mean. How come you treat me like a person?
Because you are. It's true we come from different worlds. But neither one of us asked to be here right now. In that sense, you and I are much the same. We couldn't do this. We wouldn't be able to talk to each other as people if we didn't see the humanity in each other. So I suppose the question you should be asking is, why wouldn't I treat you like one?
You're not like the others.
Maybe they're not like me.
Here's what we'll do. We give them their damn ceremony. You get me to Dana. That'll be the end of it. I'm taking you at your word on this. I'm trusting you, not them. Naori.
Зачем слепить белым экраном? И типа они все это видели все вместе?
What the hell just happened?
That vision. Did everyone else see it too?
That
Предсказуемо.
person Alphen was speaking to, she looked exactly like Shion.
О, не одна я это
It was
заметила.
Naori. Naori Imaris. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
She really does look like Shion. I'm beginning to see why Alphen was so confused.
Ну да,
That's all very
моделька одна и
well and
та же.
fine, but what did we just witness exactly? It was too real to be a mere hallucination.
It was a conversation we had 300 years ago. The night before the ceremony.
You mean all of that really happened? We just saw an episode straight out of your past?
But how is that even possible? Unless... Could this be the Red Woman's handiwork too?
Во всем подозреваю
I don't
женщину
think
в
so.
красном.
Why not?
You guys didn't feel it? The moment the entrance opened, it was like a stream of Danon astral energy rushing over us.
I felt it too. And not for the first time either. It was the same sensation as back inside the wedge.
That would make sense. After all, vast amounts of Dana's astral energy were being siphoned and sent up here to Lenegus. For all we know, perhaps we're close to the spot where all that energy was stored.
So you think it might have been the energy itself that was responsible for that vision we just saw? But how? And why?
We have no way of knowing. Maybe it's not even as deliberate as all that.
Shion, you okay?
Yeah. It was all just a little sudden. That's all. So that was my ancestor, huh? It was like looking into a mirror.
Yeah, there certainly is a resemblance.
What about you? How are you holding up?
Me?
Even putting aside the question of where that vision came from, it's likely we'll see more of those. Reliving painful episodes from your past. Do you think you can handle it?
I can't just pretend like the past never happened. Besides, if it helps us uncover the truth of what that ceremony really was, it might also lead to answers about your thorns.
Alphen.
That's not all. This whole time, we've been fighting to free Dana from the Renans. But
Я
now that
думаю,
we're here,
навряд ли.
it seems those same Renans might have it just as bad. I'd like to liberate them too if I can. Which is just another reason I can't afford to shield my eyes from the truth.
Whether you're on Dana or somewhere else, you always stay the same. Your indignation and righteous passion, your desire to free and protect, they're all hardwired into you. Not that I'm complaining. Come on, let's bust this thing wide open.
Nobody's here.
Stay sharp. After that last illusion, there's no telling what could happen in here.
Опа-на, босс. Ну чё, перед ним и заканчиваем? Ладно. Ладно, мы попробуем его убить. Удивимся, испугаемся. И я пойду баньки. Похоже на план. Да я так и думала.
Faria, how did you get in here?
Wait, something about her isn't right.
Ее
What's wrong with her? She doesn't even seem to know where she is.
загипнотиза...
You're right. She looks just like the
Починила
soldiers we
себе.
encountered outside.
Сложное слово. Я планировала убить босса, я его убила. План выполнен. Что не так? Где-то я такое уже видела. Господи Иисусе.
A summoning?
But that's preposterous. She never had that kind of power when...
We can talk later. Here it comes.
45-й, нормально.
I've never... Faria handled like that before.
Кисара мертва, нормально.
Where did she get her hands on that?
Я с трудом уклонилась, нормально. Больше слова нормально. Эта скотина взяла и уклонилась. Вы чё? Ты чё, пес? А ты думал, тут все боссы будут одинаковые? Вот не знаю, кстати. Хороший вопрос. Объятия есть, урона нет. Самонаводящийся яд дожили. Да, промазала, но нет. Ну, такого быть не может. Флакон жизни. Фух, у меня есть они. Так, у него опять появилась штука. Ярко! Ну что? Сейчас и остального не будет. Сейчас только он спамить, если не начнет чем-нибудь. Пошел, всех шотнул, молодец. Чё? Ну да, пол хп сбрили, можно умирать. Сейчас закончим, подождите. Сейчас мы закончим так, что... Но босс сказал нам, однако, здравствуйте. Тут и не поспоришь. А чё ты зависла? Тебе нормально? Она испугалась, она стоит и думает, я не хочу драться, я не хочу участвовать в этой вакханалии. Кисара, иди дерись! О, ожила, наконец-то. Не то кастую. Ой, не то. А. Воюешь, тут раз... Я сосредоточена, я не приунывшая. А. Сейчас второй баг словил уже за сегодня. Я не одобряю. Первый делаем вот так. А теперь мы будем делать вот так и вот так. Вообще мы не то атаковали все это время. И вообще надо Кисару-то все равно оживить. Будет полезный. Карусель, карусель, кто успел, тот присель. Так, до Халима воскресить надо. Живи, мужик.
This is my fault. Break this night.
Take it in here.
And use its favorite sword of life.
Mega ray. Take it constant. With natural energy. Mega ray. Glacial speed. I can't heal you forever. Take this.
Уклонилась. Я все правильно бью. Понятненько. Рисковать не будем. Перезарядка еще. Так, готовимся уклоняться. Пу-пу-пу-пу! Уклонились! Живем, живем, живем! Так, мы не можем тут умереть. Не сейчас. Так, тебя меняем. Тебя меняем. А, победили! Со второго раза, но победили! Господи!
Now it's just her. Faria, can you hear me? Faria.
She's preparing another summoning.
Остановите ее!
Way too powerful to control. At this rate, her body won't be able to take much more.
Forgive me.
Поддых ей дал. Ля какой.
thought we were goners.
Everything okay?
Yes. She's only unconscious.
Not her. I meant you.
Shion, please. Can you treat her?
I can try, but I can't promise she'll be back to her real self when she wakes up. All I can do is heal her physically.
Давай лечи уже.
We're not even supposed to be in here. Maybe it'd be better if we moved her to somewhere a little safer. Don't you think?
In that case...
I'll take her off your hands.
You?
Avakir, what are you doing here?
Слежу за вами.
I was curious what you were up to, so I took the liberty of following you to find out. I overheard what you said about Tarnigan, about how he really died. I'm sorry, I had no idea.
And you believed me? What makes you so sure I wasn't lying?
I like to think I know you a little better than that, Dohalim. Give me some credit.
Не получается у него быть
I'll
плохим
take Faria.
парнем.
Leave her with me. I know better than to ask what you're up to. But whatever it is, I hope it all works out.
Thank you.
He seems like a good friend.
He hasn't changed. He never was one to stand out. Instead, he was always hanging back, worrying about everyone else. As for Faria, it's always the closest to me who
Я
gets hurt.
все-таки не понимаю
You don't
логику.
seriously blame yourself
Перед
for
этим
what
поставить
happened
нам
to her,
босса
do you?
47-го, чтобы
Somebody
потом
got to her.
нам дать
Strike
босса
back at me.
45-го. Где
Someone who knew
логика?
me well
Где
enough to know
логика?
that I'd hesitate to fight back. In the same
Она
boat
вышла
for you
покурить, мне
as well.
кажется.
Neither you nor Faria would have lost loved ones if it wasn't for me.
Это
You're
плохо.
wrong. Kelzelik was the one who killed
Я
my brother,
осуждаю.
under orders from Almadria. As for Tarnigan, if it weren't for the crown contest, he'd still be alive. That and the whole damn hierarchy that makes it possible. But that's why we're fighting. To put an end to this whole messed up system that treats people as expendable.
Indeed. Ridding society of this blight is really the only way I know how to atone for my sins.
You can't atone, Dohalim. I know it hurts to hear, but those people are dead. No amount of soul-searching or trying to make amends is going to change that. Forgiveness, acceptance, those ships have sailed.
So I just forget the harm I caused?
No, the opposite, in fact. You remember, you never forget. You keep it in your heart always. And then you go on living. Not for those already passed, but for those still alive.
For those still alive.
Kisara's right. So long as we've still got breath in our bodies, we can make a difference.
Они
in the lives
поднимают
of
боевой
others.
друг друга. Дух.
That's
Ну
what
да,
living's all
прошло
about.
уже почти 1
Being
часов со
able to
стримов.
still make a
Надо
difference.
заканчивать. Полностью
Punishing yourself for
согласна.
the past won't make the pain of your conscience go away.
Only fixing the problem in its stead. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. You have to live for tomorrow, Dohalim, not for yesterday. And not only that, you need to live for yourself, and for the change that you still can be.
I shall try.
Don't forget, we've still got a mystery to solve. The Forbidden Zone, remember?
Shion,
Huh?
thank you. You have my deepest gratitude for what you did for Faria.
Glad to be of service.
I'm glad we could stop Faria without hurting her.
You all did much for her as well. I'm most grateful.
Oh, shucks. We're on the same team, right?
Так, ну диалоги
Do you
оставь
think
послушать.
Faria was really being controlled by someone?
Certainly seemed that way. The question is, who? The Red Woman?
The same person who's behind
Да
all
не,
this, I'll bet.
я боюсь, что второй раз такой фокус не
Brainwashed
прокатит.
or otherwise, the feelings of resentment she holds towards me are real.
Someone used her because they knew we'd hold back. If that's not playing dirty, I don't know what is.
It does tell us one thing at least. Someone here in Lenegis is watching us. Someone who means us harm.
There's no question. That attack was meant for us alone.
By someone capable of getting inside a person and manipulating them like a weapon. We need to find whoever it is, fast.
Так, ну что ж, телепортироваться мы никуда не будем. Мы остановимся именно на этом моменте. Так. Панель навыков забыла глянуть перед этим. Хотя ладно, вкачаю потом. Ах. Ну что ж, всем спасибо, что смотрели меня. До следующего стрима. Подпишитесь на YouTube канал, мне будет приятно, и лайки там поставьте с комментами. Всем до встречи, спокойного дня, ночи и другого времени суток, которое у вас сейчас. Всем до встречи, пока-пока.